Fast Frame. Shadow boxes come with a lifetime guarantee.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you join us today. Lots to talk about. Busy week in Tennessee this week. That makes sense. We've got the Bob Shoop news. We've got Tennessee basketball to discuss. A lot more Tennessee football around the Shoop situation. Peyton Manning stuff to discuss. Lady Vols question or two. A lot of stuff today. We were going to open it by doing something cheesy, but I decided not to. For those who don't remember, that's Salt and Pepper with their 1993 hit "Shoop." So, Shoop-a-doop. I got guys on the set who are like, "What was that?" Yeah. All right. Want to get started as we always do. First segment of our show brought to you by Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land, a leader in residential real estate for more than 30 years. Check out this $1 million lakefront home. Look at the views there. You sit right in that great big open vaulted ceiling, that open room. Modern design, look right out on the lake. It's 5 minutes from Kingston Pike. It's available right now for under $650,000. That's $1 million home. That's a tremendous deal. Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. Go to their website to learn more or give them a call, 675-7000. All right, I want to welcome in the panelists for today. It's good to have the whole gang back together. We have Robert Hodge. We have Michael Strange. James Himes, and Charles Demetrius Cavaleris III down there.
Thank you.
All right. Not a bad week for the Vols. It starts out, kind of a surprise out of left field hire in terms of Larry Scott as tight ends coach. The man had been an interim head coach at Miami. Mark Richt wanted to keep him. That was good news. Then they decided to go ahead, the rumor had been out there, they go ahead and make the change on John Jancic. I think there were a lot of questions of why do you make that move? And then you set your targets on Bob Shoop, who's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country on paper, and you nab him. You grab him from Penn State. The national reaction, before I get to you guys, here's the national reaction. You got guys like Kirk Herbstreit saying, congrats, great hire. Mark Schlabach going on and on about it. You see some of the other, Matt Hayes from the Sporting News saying it's terrific. It's just all over, up and down the line. Stuart Mandel bragging on it. Guys, what does it say about the Tennessee program right now that you have a guy that was at Miami and had a chance to stay who says, no, I'm going to Tennessee? You have a guy like Bob Shoop who could have stayed at Penn State, and instead he says, no, I'm going to Tennessee. And this is a guy who turned down LSU last year and told Auburn he really didn't want to talk this year, just a few weeks ago. What's it mean for the program? What's it say about the state of Tennessee football?
I think it says that those coaches feel like Tennessee's program's on the way up, and they have a chance to do something special. Yeah. And they have a chance to be a part of winning the East Division, maybe the SEC. But it is amazing to me that you would turn down LSU and Auburn and come to Tennessee. So you must like the dynamics that you see potentially for Tennessee down the road.
I think it also, to go with what Jimmy said, they perceive, or Bob Shoop perceives, that Butch Jones is in a very good, secure situation here, more so than some of those others.
Well, I'm reminded of when Derek Dooley was struggling, and then granted, there's a difference between struggling and
from
succeeding.
Day one.
Yeah, but he had a hard time getting folks to come here. They didn't want to be on the Derek Dooley staff. You got guys that if they think this is a one-year fluke, I don't think they're doing this. I think it should. If people aren't on the Butch train yet, here's another reason to step on board, I think, because you've got coaches who are putting they're tying their careers to Butch Jones.
Well, and I also think you got to relate it back to something we talked about last week. Do you trust Butch Jones to make these kind of decisions? I mean, I think a lot of people would have been perfectly happy if Jancic stays, your defense was getting better, you had improved. From year 2 to year 3, the numbers improvement wasn't huge, but that was a better defense last year than you had 2 years ago. And to go ahead and make a change like that, if people have to kind of sit back and say that Butch Jones not only knows what he's doing, he recruits well, and now he goes out and he gets somebody like Shoop. And, there was a little bit of trepidation because I thought, why do you rock the boat right now?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think it's still, well, Chuck touched on that last week. It's a risky move. It's still a risky move. I mean, let's be honest here. It looks great on paper, but I'm going to be the guy in the story in Patton, whispers behind the guy, all glory is fleeting. This is a little warning. Remember, there was a time when folks in Knoxville and East Tennessee were celebrating the brilliant hire of Dave Clawson, the brilliant hire of Monty Kiffin, the terrible hire. People were angry about the terrible hire of Mike DeBoard. So sometimes what you see on paper isn't what you get on the field. So there is some risk still involved, Chuck.
Yeah, I think it shows that coaches, top-flight coaches, recognize when they look at this program that it is on the verge of competing for an SEC championship. It also shows to me that at Tennessee, you're all in for 2016. It's not a make or break year, but we've been building to this. And if you do make a decision to make a change, or if somebody leaves, you feel like you can replace them with someone not just as good, but better.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how much of that psychology of next year is the year that you've been building for? You sat back and you looked at things are getting better, but somewhere inside internally somebody said, well, better's not quite good enough to get us to where we think we can get to next year. So I think it goes directly to that, is you're not all in on next year. I don't think it's that at all, because you've got good young talent. I mean, you're not an old veteran team that, everybody's going to be seniors. But I think that you look at next year and say, okay, can we get 50 yards better a game and shave off a touchdown? And does that make the difference between SEC championship game or good season?
Last week we discussed the fact that you're making a change going into a big year. Maybe you guys don't feel it's a risk anymore. I still think even though they hired a good defensive coordinator, I still think there's a risk because you're changing your system going into a very big year. Bob Shoop's a 4-3 guy. Brings more pressure. You're changing your system a little bit. You're doing this right before signing day. You've got a couple of guys who now, how are Cam Sutton and Jalen Reeves-Maven going to look at this? There was someone who reported that Reeves-Maven was more likely to come back if Shoop was hired. Okay, fine. Don't know if that's the case or not. If I'm judging an NFL decision, I'm going to weigh the fact that, okay, what are my numbers going to look like? How am I going to be used in a different system? Go back to Eric Berry under Monty Kiffin. So to me, there's still some risk involved here. Do you guys see that or no?
Yes.
Okay. I've asked this 3 times. No one's going to go near it, so we'll move on.
I think it's a fair question. You're right. It's a big year, and when you change a coordinator, we've seen some of them do better than expected. We've seen some backfire. Hiring Sal Sunseri. Oh, wow, they got a guy off Nick Saban's staff. He's going to bring that Alabama defense to Knoxville. Big year for Derek Dooley. Huh?
And I know there's going to be risk on the field, and I agree with you, but I think a lot of the risk is if you make a change and you don't know you're going to be able to bring somebody in that you want. And then if you start going down that list, that risk factor to me really ratchets up.
See, I'm kind of in that boat. I think it was mitigated by hiring Shoop. Because if you didn't get Shoop and you didn't get the next 4 on your list, the risk was firing Jancic and then figuring you can get somebody better. I actually think they probably did. So I think it was mitigated a little bit by making a really good hire.
I think there's always risk. And part of the risk, too, is how's he going to gel with the players? I mean, you had a team last year that seemed to be very, very close.
And the coaches that he's inheriting. He's not bringing his own guys. So.
Which is going to bring up a question later on, I think.
But when you look at this hire, one other good thing for Tennessee fans, you get to steal someone from James Franklin. I mean, this is a guy, Tennessee fans hated losing to Vanderbilt. Well, you've gotten the guy that was a big reason that you lost to Vanderbilt because they were winning with defense. You steal a guy from James Franklin's staff, you now wonder if this guy can flip commitments from Penn State the way that Franklin did when he left Vanderbilt for Penn State. So anyway, that's one thing to enjoy in addition to the hire is the fact that you're hurting James Franklin at Penn State. Send us your questions. On Overtime, we'll try and get to as many as we can. You can tweet them to us. You can tweet them to me. I don't know if we can get my graphic up there or not. If not, we'll show it to you later. There it is. You can tweet me questions right now in the group here. We'll answer them in our Overtime segment. We'll get to as many as we can. When we come back, comparing Jancic and Shoop by the numbers, some might not show what you think they'll show. Also, Dave Hart as cheapskate. Who started that myth? Come on back.